Welcome back to D&H TV. I'm Chris Phillips. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us here today. Today we're going to be talking about something that's near and dear to my heart. We're going to be powering your creativity, and we're going to be doing it with HP and NVIDIA. And to help me do that, I've got two wonderful presenters here with us today. I have Nancy. She is the Channel Mobile Business Manager for HP. Nancy, how's it going?
Great, thanks. Thanks for having me.
No problem. And we also have Nina. She's the OEM sales manager with NVIDIA. Nina, how's it going?
Hey, great. Good afternoon. Thanks, guys. Thanks for joining.
It's great to have you guys here. This is a wonderful topic. I hope you guys all get something from this. We'll do a little bit of housekeeping here before we get started. We do have a fantastic set of prizes available to the people that are here watching live. I will say that you guys do need to attend for the entire event. So if you're here right now, you're in the right place at the right time, and you stick with us for the entire event, you could be eligible to win some great prizes. We will also be taking questions throughout the broadcast. You can see I've highlighted the Q&A window. If you have any questions throughout the broadcast, go ahead and ask them. We will be asking those questions at the end of each presentation. And we also have some resources available that I've also highlighted. You can take a look at those during the broadcast, or they'll be available post-broadcast as well. If you have any more or have a need for any more information on any of these topics. But to get started, I believe we have Nancy. You're going to get started for us, correct?
Yep.
All right, go ahead.
I'll kick it off. Hey, thank you everybody for joining. I'm going to look at or give you an overview of all of our HP workstation products and kind of where do we sell into, what segments. I mean, you guys should be and probably are familiar because you're probably selling into it, but also looking at the type of customers that, we would position these for, and, things to think about when you're maybe finding who is the best kind of a workstation class user or end user. How can I integrate workstations into an environment? Because there are different ways that people truly use workstations versus regular a business notebook lineup. So what makes we say here why upgrade, because at HP we're always looking at, we've got our business notebook line, but then we've got this step up into this mobile workstation world. So that's why we say why upgrade in a sense, but it's really about finding those end users and making sure you're giving them a product because they're doing things a little bit differently, right? Not day in and day out kind of work. They're probably doing something a little bit more specialized. So those type of people are probably looking for something that's got faster performance. And in going from a notebook lineup in the regular day in and day out to this, you're going to find higher level processing power, expandability. You're going to be looking for reliability because a lot of what we do in the mobile workstation space, workstations in general, is mission critical type effort. So we keep that in mind that, people are looking for this type of product because they're doing something that is a little bit more high-end, intensive, that it needs to work and it needs to be reliable. And then one of the big, differentiators, of course, is ISV certification. So we've got, called out different software that's used in the workstation world that we've actually certified our products on. So you can look for that and know that, the integration with that software and our products works. Okay. So again, it's that idea like, okay, well, we've got our business notebooks, and in our world from HP, we've got our HP Elite books, 8000, 1000 series. Okay. But why take that step up into the entry level space, maybe in the mobile workstation class? But again, does your customer need some discrete graphics? Are they looking for, performance and ISV certification because it's very specialized? Do they want future expandability in that performance? Like all those things that we just kind of mentioned about, what makes a workstation different from a regular notebook. So you might want to say, okay, within this pocket, a notebook might work for some people, but even within an end user environment, maybe you've got the finance department, the accounting department, a creative department that needs something. And that's where, more specialized. And that's where, they have unique things that they need. And that's what makes them go and look towards a workstation. And so, you've seen certain segments and things like that. We kind of call out these segments. I mean, it's all around, maybe architecture, engineering. It's around product design, media and entertainment, education, a lot of the STEM stuff, financial services and data sciences. Those, people doing those kind of things really do look for something that's specialized. So everywhere from 2D, then going into 3D, content creation, VR, and then, like I say, financial stuff, data analysis. So you're looking for something with absolute performance. So we've got a whole array of product, but those kind of segments truly do look for something differentiated. And those kind of tasks where you're creating and things like that are kind of the, what they're doing day in and day out, that a mobile workstation with the performance, the ISV, and the expandability would put them into a workstation class product. And like anything, when you look at a portfolio of products and you talk to the, your end customer, what they need, there's always that idea of trade-off. So one, what are they doing? And then two, what's important to them? Are they looking for something that is in a workstation class, but they need something light? They want something that's highly expandable in terms of graphics cards and what they're creating. Do they need something that's, I've got my regular desk-based workstation, but I need something that is full power and I can take on the road, right? And you still want a lot of that performance and horsepower. You look for something in the high end. And then as well, it's always that I need it light, I need performance, but I also need a little bit of, I don't want to spend everything, break the bank on this thing. So we have this portfolio here, and I always look at it. I love this slide just for the fact that you can see we start out with our entry Firefly type product. That's an entry mobile workstation. You move over to the right, you'll see our ZBook Fury in that top corner. And that's really the highest end, most expandable, a lot of power in that type of a product. And then you look down and you're saying, well, I need power, but I also need something that's at a good price point. That's where our ZBook Power would probably fit in for those type of customers. And then right in the center there is really our ZBook Studio that I just love, but it's really great for content creation, gaming, development, video type thing. And we'll talk a little bit about that. Just you'll see what kind of specs go into it that really give a lot of flexibility with what you can do with that. And that's kind of right in the center there. But we have this whole array, and it's always the, figuring out what are they doing, what kind of performance do they need, and then, what kind of price point are they really looking for to meet those needs. We've got the whole portfolio for them, so we'll be able to give them something. And then in our whole portfolio, again, like I said, we start out with our Firefly. This year, we've also introduced in the 14-inch an AMD version. So this is the first year we've introduced AMD into the mobile workstation space. And then we've also included it in our ZBook Power. So the ZBook Power has, again, that's our entry performance price point, but we've got AMD there as a solution as well. So AMD has come in the mobile workstation space, and their processors in this area, great performance, future-proofing with AI that they've built in, and then as well, that price point. So you're kind of hitting all of the vectors of what people consider and the options that they can choose from. And then we have our Studio and Fury. And then this kind of maybe coming through as an eye chart, but again, when you're talking about the processors, they'll range up. You can get more i9 towards the Fury. Again, highest performance in terms of an Intel processor. In the power, you can get a Ryzen 9, so you get some AMD performance there as well. But the one thing that's nice about our ZBook portfolio is that, one, it's got the ISV certification. Two, if you need to expand it, it's expandable. So add more memory, add graphics card where they can take up, so you get some, future proofing in the product and be able to expand with the specs as you need and as you go along. And then I'm going to let Nina talk about this when we get to the NVIDIA part, but this is just a nice chart to show, what kind of graphics cards that we can get across the board. And I will point out, just in that studio space, so that second column from, I guess, the right or left, under ZBook Studio 16, you can see a combination of GeForce as well as RTX cards. So a lot of that kind of gaming and virtualization along with RTX for customers that might be doing a little bit of gaming or virtualization development and things like that, that they'll be able to do both kind of business and pleasure, in the sense that, you're working hard and developing things during the day, but maybe at night you want to do something that's a little bit more, gaming consumerish, in a sense that, you would like those GeForce cards in that type of a product, but that's available in our studio. And then, as I mentioned, as you go up the stack, in terms of processors, they get higher, as you go from a Firefly all the way over to Fury, but anywhere from i5s all the way to i9s in the Intel space. And then AMD as well, like we said, 14-inch G10A. The A represents AMD, as we've named it, and then the ZBook Power has the A as well, G10A. But all the way up to Ryzen 9 in the Power. And, the consideration for AMD, like I said, in terms of the GPU, in terms of just processing power and the AI technology that they're already put into these, and you'll be able to, as more AI stuff starts to develop, really takes advantage of this. So there's a really great future proofing as this world starts to change story with the AMD, because they've integrated a lot of AI features into this generation that as it grows, you're going to be able to take more advantage of using that capability, and it's already integrated into the product. And then another consideration when you're talking to customers about, what are they doing day in and day out, and those trade-offs. So we've got everything from displays here that are low power, because maybe somebody wants something that's got power, but they also want battery life. That's really important to them. They can integrate in a display that, doesn't suck up as much power, to be honest, just because these things are so intensive. So they can have that as an option. We've got our HP SureView, which is an integrated privacy display that you can also put into these products. So if you're on the road, because it's mobile, right? And you're working somewhere and you just don't want people seeing, this privacy display that you can integrate into it will keep people from being able to see, basically from the sides, what you've got on your display. So that's integrated as HP SureView. It's kind of a security type thing, right? For that visual hacking. But we've also got touch options, we've got OLED, and then of course we've got, our Dream Color displays that will give, color accuracy, the full gamut of colors. So what you're creating, so if you're somebody that's really creating a lot of content and you want to know exactly what you're creating is what will be shown on the screen or developed in that, pamphlet or on that poster or something like that, Dream Color is a great option because it's really, really accurate with the colors that we've got, that you see on the screen and what you're developing. But the next few slides really just kind of barrel it down to, okay, what is a typical ZBook, and in this case, Firefly customer? So I love these slides because it doesn't mean that you can only do these types of things, but it gives you an idea of what type of customer from an entry in a Firefly product would be suitable for. So, baseline, like it says here, baseline creatives, tech managers, 2D creators, you can look to a Firefly where, maybe something that's highly portable, light, power, would work right, for that type of an end customer. The ZBook Studio, again, that one, highly for video and imaging creatives, 3D gaming, animation designers, as well as product designers, where again, they're looking for something that's mobile, but can handle 2D, 3D simulations and things like that. The Studio would be a great product for that type of customer doing those types of tasks. And then power as well. Again, that power is that entry price point power user. So great for higher ed in SMB and STEM students, product development as well, and freelancers, something that's affordable where they need that extra power, maybe are using some different ISV programs and things like that, but the power user has those kind of trade-offs that they're looking for in a mobile workstation. And then Fury, like we said, is kind of the high-end, maximum processing speed, hard drives, memory, everything that you need in a workstation, but you need it to be mobile. So product development, gaming, VR, and really in those finances and data science type things where you need power to calculate and stuff. The Fury is a great product. And again, you're looking for something in a workstation class, customer that, again, they're probably working on a desk-based workstation, but they need it to be mobile. And that's where this will complement things in terms of that kind of flexibility that you get by using a laptop. Here is just something that's kind of neat, I think, in the sense that we've got a whole bunch of experiences that people do now that it's hybrid, and you're doing lots of, webinars and virtualized like meetings and things. One thing that you can do with the mobile workstations in this generation, it will support multi-cameras. So you've got your camera that's integrated into the laptop as well as you have an external camera. And say, for example, and I'm moving over to the video. Let me see, make sure it's coming up. Yeah, you can it'll start playing in one of your screens, but you can see here as an example, by having the two cameras, you can keep, the conversation on you and talk to the people that you're working with, but at the same time, you're also able to show maybe something that you're developing or working on. So that's a great real life hybrid type collaboration experience that you can have with our mobile workstations as well. And from here, I just want to give some quick updates that we do have currently spiffs on these products. If you look, this is the full portfolio of mobile from us. However, if you look in the top of the list here, you can see how great the spiffs are when you're talking about the mobile workstation space. So that's something to consider as you're looking and maybe thinking, okay, this type of user, maybe, 800 EliteBook is great, but maybe I can put them up into a Firefly because that would meet their needs, and you also get a spiff for it. And then let's see here, there we go. And then I've just included, for your information, some of where does HP line up versus, our competition. So you can see where we are in our different category of products versus Dell and Lenovo. So we get always lots of questions, I'm trying to move somebody from here or there. My customer is currently on this, but I want them to go to HP. What would that be? And here from this slide, you can see where we feel like we line up next to the competition. And with that, Nina, I will send it over to you, but I'll answer any questions afterwards. But again, it was just an overview of what is the portfolio and where do we try to position these to, depending on what type of tasks and customers need in this workstation space. So thank you very much.
Awesome. Do we want to cover the questions now for? I don't know if there are any.
I didn't see any questions specifically for Nancy. If you guys have any questions for Nancy, go ahead and put them in the Q&A, and we will get to them after Nina.
Okay. It looked like there was one about warranty. I don't know if you had a slide on that.
Oh yeah. Yes, you are right. I did not see that one. Yeah, Rodney Hall did ask about warranties for the ZBook lines.
Yeah, so when we have our Smart Buy SKUs, which are off-the-shelf on, in distribution at D&H. They come with 330 warranties. You can also add care packs to go to on-site with 3-year on-site. The other thing too, with any of our Elite products, I'll do a shout out for it. It is 24/7 US-based support with any of our Elite products. So it's something that is an extra value because it's not anything that we charge for versus some of the competition, to be quite honest. That 330 on-site 24/7 Elite support is included in the price. And again, it's almost like a concierge service in the sense that if you've got questions, if you need to arrange a time to, get back with the customer support person, it's almost like you can set up a meeting, you get immediate support from them. They'll recognize that you've got an Elite product and be able to be like, okay, you get this step up from standard warranty into this Elite space. So it's a great option in terms of what we can provide, and it comes with any of our Elite products: notebooks, desktops, workstations. Anything that's in that Elite class is that extra value that you don't have to pay for. It's included.
One more, Nancy, real quick, and then we'll get over to Nina. There was a question whether there needs to be a certification process prior to a reseller being able to sell the workstations.
Sell the workstations through D&H, I suppose. Yeah. So they need to be, authorized, or I think there's a way for D&H to kind of, I'm trying to think, that probably is more of a D&H question, but we do have partners that get authorized to sell the HP products.
Okay. I'll loop back with the D&H team and get a more definitive answer on that out to you guys. But Nina, I don't want to. We'll continue to let the questions flow in for Nancy. And Nina, why don't you take over here?
Awesome. Thanks, guys. Good afternoon. And Dawn, I saw a quick question about availability on A100, H100 GPUs. We won't be talking about that today because that's more focused on data center. I will tell you, A100s are virtually impossible to get, lead times over 12 months. H100 is also quite tight, but we are we recommend shifting customer demand from A100 to H100. But
I'm glad you asked that because I was going to ask you that at the end.
Yeah, they're still probably on A100 or H100, sorry, like a 36-week lead time. So it's quite long. Those GPUs are in high demand here. Okay, switching over to really where does NVIDIA fit into the HPZ messaging? So I'm going to go through some content with you guys. Feel free to put questions in the chat here. So NVIDIA RTX. So NVIDIA RTX is a platform. NVIDIA has been working for over 20 years to develop this incredible GPU platform, not only hardware, but also a vast amount of software, frameworks, SDKs, toolkits, lots of different things here. So just to kind of walk through this slide starting at the bottom. So we really have hardware deployments where, and where do we fit in with HPs? Really in that laptop and desktop space there. So with the GPUs, what really differentiates NVIDIA in the marketplace is all of this goodness in between. So this core software that I mentioned, frameworks, SDKs, libraries, and toolkits. This really enables developers to be able to take advantage of GPU computing power within their workflows. So you can buy a GPU, that's great, but not all applications are able to take advantage of that advanced compute power. When you think about NVIDIA, we really want you to think AI, advanced compute. That's really what we're the industry leader in that right now. We'll be going into some slides about this, but you guys are hearing a lot about ChatGPT, this explosion of AI, generative AI. ChatGPT was built upon NVIDIA technology, on NVIDIA GPUs. This type of super heavy data training cannot be done on, in a CPU-enabled data center. It really needs that advanced compute power. And with all of these frameworks that we've developed over the last 20 years, users are able to take advantage of this massive parallel processing power that GPUs have to offer. We work with all of our core ISVs within these major industries you see on the top. So Nancy had mentioned ISVs, right? ISVs are the software vendors that, they're creating this software that these creators and scientists and all of these people that are doing these really cool specialized workflows are utilizing. And they require, or we work with the ISVs to be able to take advantage of that advanced compute power of the GPU. So again, just kind of, we have a very broad portfolio of products within NVIDIA, but within the world of HPZ, we fit here in the NVIDIA RTX section here for desktops and mobile GPUs. You guys are probably familiar with GeForce. I know we talked about there's GeForce offering on ZBook Studio, but really want you to understand that GeForce is our consumer solution. This is not ever intended to be deployed in an enterprise customer setting. There are customers and certain use cases, those creative pros that are working during the day, gaming at night, that are demanding GeForce. And so we have made some exceptions with our OEMs to be able to sell in a specific place, that kind of creative pro space, which is the studio addresses. But understand that consumer you take on a risk by deploying a consumer GPU within your organization because it doesn't have all of the good professional features that the NVIDIA RTX portfolio does. You may be familiar with NVIDIA Quadro. So that's really was our differentiator professional GPU lineup that's been rebranded NVIDIA RTX. So those terms are interchangeable. In Quadro and NVIDIA RTX, when you hear GeForce, know that's consumer. We'll have a slide that kind of digs into the level in a little bit of that next here. So really why professional GPUs? This is really the NVIDIA RTX ecosystem. So this really goes over like all of the goodness, why it's more expensive. How do I talk to customers about, why professional versus consumer? And really, truly, these GPUs are designed and built for enterprise deployment. So built and supported directly by NVIDIA with extended product availability, stable life cycles, which is really, really important to a lot of organizations. Long life, stable drivers and IT management tools. Again, very, very important. We certify these with OEM workstations to ensure that they run seamlessly, both on the hardware and the software that they're running. Another big thing is support. So Nancy was talking about you calling for support. If a system crashes, you want to make sure that you have the support to get your users back up and running. If they're deploying GeForce in their HPZ systems, they will have to default to GeForce consumer support. So if the issue on your workstation is caused by the software and the GPU not working properly, this will not be you will not get professional support on this. It will fall to GeForce. So the same gamer that's calling in with some sort of big bug on their system, you're going to be in the same queue as that. And typically these professional application issues get moved to the bottom of the queue because the gaming issues take priority over a professional use case. So really downtime, how much downtime can your users really afford? That's really a really big, important piece of why professional graphics over consumer. It would be the same reason why you don't go buy a bunch of laptops at Best Buy or at Target and deploy them within your organization. You really need all of that professional support and deployment tools on your GPUs. So just want to make sure we hit home with that. Another big thing is larger GPU memory is available on our professional cards. With GeForce, the amount of GPU memory is very, very limited. Okay, so we have a quick question here. I think you guys are seeing that on your side. Yeah. You can answer the question there on your side. So 3D workflows, who's really utilizing the core user group of this type of technology? It's really users that are doing 3D. So 3D workflows are essential for every industry right now. Worldwide, over 40 million creative designers, and that number is growing more and more. Some of our key industries where we see wide adoption of workstation systems, areas like media and entertainment, manufacturing and product design, architecture, engineering, construction, and operations, we call AECO, and then scientific visualization. So, we talked about ISVs. The software that these users are utilizing need this type of high-end workstation and GPU hardware to be able to do their jobs, to be able to create these incredible new cars and bikes and buildings and stadiums. All of these have to be designed in 3D. We've also talked about AI. So with the introduction of ChatGPT last fall, or last winter, I guess it was last November, we're really calling this the iPhone moment of AI, and it's here now. So, if we think about before you were at the dinner table arguing, you didn't have your phone to look up on Google who was right and who wasn't. Like, there was a time before that where we didn't have that capability. Really, we see this boom of AI and generative AI is really going to change the way that we live and that we work. So things like chatbots, so ChatGPT being one of them, but there's companies working endlessly right now to figure out how to implement AI within their organizations and take advantage of this type of technology. We've seen massive tech layoffs in the industry over the past 12 months, right? So Microsoft, Google, laying off tens of thousands of employees and reinvesting that money into their AI strategy. There was an MSNBC article saying that, with a poll of CEOs, saying that 50% of their spend is targeted towards AI initiatives. So there's a really, really big opportunity here for us to start talking about this with customers, and to be able to do these types of workflows require high-end workstations with NVIDIA GPUs. We look at generative art. So, and we have some cool examples to show you. This is a new kind of creative outlet for users to take advantage of AI in this sort of space. More and more applications are starting to integrate AI within their applications. So NVIDIA RTX technology is able to take advantage of that. I know Nancy touched on this too, being able to future-proof your systems to ensure that these new AI enhancements, you're able to take advantage of those on your hardware deployments. We've talked about NVIDIA RTX and how that's kind of like our brand of our professional GPUs, but really to dig into what NVIDIA RTX is. So it was introduced in 2018, and really it brought three things to the forefront here. So real-time rendering, artificial intelligence, and simulation. Being able to do these types of workflows in real time, we want to be able to see photoreal images of the products that we're designing. These types of workflows were not possible before this technology. It was very cumbersome. It took a really long time to be able to render out an image of a car that you're creating. And NVIDIA RTX technology made this possible. We're currently 3 generations in. So we launched NVIDIA RTX with Turing. Right now within HP, our key, there's some overlap of what's shipping. So we have Ampere generation, and we've recently just released Ada in the last 12 months. So there's a bit of a staggered release. We'll go through that. Our naming conventions are all after famous scientists and mathematicians, which is kind of cool. We've made it extra confusing with 2 A's in a row, but I'll kind of help walk you through some of that here. So NVIDIA Ada Lovelace Architecture is our latest and greatest 3rd gen RTX. So really designed to deliver outstanding power, professional graphics, AI, compute performance to these end users. So the big message here is really up to 2 times performance from the previous gen on both desktop and mobile, which when you think about 2 times performance, leap gen to gen is really, really significant. A lot of the times it's like, we see there's a bit of a sticker shock. Oh my gosh, these new cards are really expensive. But to see that type of massive performance leap, there is a huge demand for this type of technology. And we really need to make sure we're asking about these types of workflows with our customers to see, how are you guys handling AI today? What's your AI strategy? What are you doing on the workstation to be able to find these opportunities? This is kind of an overview of the latest and greatest mobile GPUs here. So all of these are shipping now on the HP G10 mobile workstation systems. You can see, of course, on the left-hand side, we have our most powerful RTX 5000, all the way to our entry-level RTX A500 and Firefly. There's really a wide portfolio of offerings. And we have a lot of great tools that will help you kind of map out which GPUs are available in which HP systems. Really, as workflows get more complex, that's really what drives users up the stack into a higher end GPU. And as we get higher up into the stack, you get more cores, more computing cores, and you also get more GPU memory. So here is just kind of a quick snippet of which GPUs are available in which HP Z systems here. And you can see here, increasing workflow complexity really drives users up the stack of what type of hardware that they're going to need for their deployments. Also, be sure to always rely on the HP quick specs for compatibility information to make sure you understand exactly which GPU and which power requirements are on the HPC systems. On the desktop side, it gets a little bit more confusing because we have a mix of all 3 generations of cards here. So entry-level space, we have the NVIDIA T400. So T is from our Turing generation. This is a very entry-level card, so it doesn't take advantage of any of that RTX goodness that we talked about. Real-time ray tracing, AI capabilities, real-time simulation capabilities. These 2 cards here are really more entry-level. If users need, doing something like a video wall, they'll need a card like this. But as you're getting into higher-end accelerated compute use cases, it's really going to drive users into this RTX stack up here. So starting with A2000, and within these are anything that starts with an A. So you see A4000, A4500. That signifies that it's Ampere generation. So that is the previous generation. We've launched Ada in the desktop space. We are now shipping with HP the 6000 Ada, as well as the A6000. So it gets a little bit confusing there, as I mentioned, but we have some good tools to help you out. We also just launched the 5000 Ada at SIGGRAPH last week, and HP will be first to market with that. So that is available in shipping now. Again, the big story with Ada gen-to-gen performance, over 2 times the performance and power efficiency than Ampere. So graphics performance, rendering performance, and AI performance, you can see that there's really significant leaps from gen to gen. So customers that are starting to do these AI type of workflows and really data science workflows, heavy rendering jobs are needing this type of really high-end compute, and that's what's driving users to this type of technology. Jumping over real quick, not only do these super high-end users that are doing really cool complex stuff could benefit from a GPU, we also have some really great entry-level GPUs, which your typical office worker can benefit from. So productivity applications are demanding more processing power than really ever before. So not everybody's doing 3D design and visualization, but if you're in marketing, you're doing graphics design, maybe some video production. But I think all of us can agree almost everybody is using multiple displays. That's the standard. Web browsing, everybody is doing, watching a video. There's 3D proliferation across web pages that's starting to come to the forefront. We're doing graphics intensive presentations like we're doing here today. Video conferencing, all of these are creeping into the workflow, especially with COVID and everybody working from home. So really, when you're choosing a dedicated laptop, when you're choosing a laptop, we want to make sure that you're talking to your end users about a GPU-enabled workstation. So really, if you're just on a UMA-only system, the CPU is taking on the load, the brunt of all of the workload. And being able to have a dedicated GPU that's working alongside the GPU, beside the CPU, really gives these users a bump in productivity and acceleration. So in a very simple terms, I like to think of just adding a GPU to your system is like adding a supercharger to your car. It's going to make it faster. It's going to perform better. If you ensure that that your PC is able to take advantage of that GPU compute within the settings, you have to make sure that it's turned on. But we're able to see much better performance. And that's really a big differentiator from EliteBook to a ZBook, is to be able to have that GPU-enabled system to take advantage of ISV certifications. ISV certifications come into play with the GPU on the HPZ systems. It's certified on the HPZ system and on the GPU, which is why that's super, super important. I like this example here because I can relate to this. This is something that I do every day. So in this example here, it shows GPU offloading for external display usage with doing a presentation. So the little bars you see here on the left, so the workflow is I'm doing PowerPoint and team sharing, and within that there are animations and transitions. So the blue bar represents an i7 UMA only system, so like a Firefly, for instance. And you can see that system running that workflow is maxed out at almost 90%. If I were to change that configuration to an i5 and add in just an entry-level GPU mobile GPU onto that system, there's a 20% reduction. So when we talk about things like future-proofing, end user satisfaction, really adding a GPU can make a big difference for a pretty, almost negligible cost if the customers are willing to look at a potential different configuration. If they want to stay with an i7 and add on a GPU, that's absolutely great. If they are cost conscious, just think about being able to, perhaps we can drop them to an i5, add on an NVIDIA discrete GPU onto that system, and they can see a boost in performance here. Same on the right-hand side. So PowerPoint plus team sharing video. The blue bar is an i7 only system, no GPU. On the right-hand side, we've dropped that config to an i5, added in a T550 GPU, and you can see that there's a 15% reduction on that system. So we have some good tools, some little 2-page sales tools that kind of help to outline that iGPU upsell, some talking points for you guys that can be really helpful. Oops. AI is just going to be a theme throughout all of this. So NVIDIA RTX powered AI workstations. This is something that we were not talking about 6 months ago or 12 months ago. Again, with the introduction of ChatGPT and really this AI boom that we're in right now, we're trying to find or discover these new use cases for what customers are going to be doing, what type of AI workflows customers can do on a workstation. So there's this new generation of OEM workstations. In the HP Z Sapphire Rapid systems were released this year. So the G5 desktops, which some of you are probably familiar with and hopefully have had some training on. Super powerful CPUs along with super powerful GPUs are able to do these really incredible workflows. Things like AI training and development on a workstation, data science, which we've been hearing about for a long time. And then cool new things like AI inference, Gen AI, and AI-powered applications, which we kind of touched on earlier. We have a fun kind of example here to show you generative AI workflow. And this one is specifically in animation. So when we think about animators, right, like they're having to go in and create a short film and they're having to do everything from scratch. So utilizing generative AI, I can go into my AI model and I can simply type in word prompts here. So frame 1, I want to see a digital illustration of a cute penguin holding a gift in a snowy landscape. And then in frame 60, I want to see the interior of a cozy cafe in winter with large windows. And then in frame 120, I want to see a small town in winter. And then I hit enter and I want to see what it pops up. So my generative AI model has provided this animation to me simply by providing these word prompts. So it's kind of cool that it's going to really change that creative process. Instead of starting, the old days with a pen and a paper, coming up with an idea and doing these types of things, we can now be able to get these ideas just down on, type it in here and see what it comes up with. There's lots and lots of different AI models that are out there in the world right now. All of them, depending on which prompts you put into which models, they're going to look different because they've all been trained on different types of data. But this is kind of a cool example of some use cases where generative AI with this type of creative workflow can come into play. Also thinking about other use cases for visual generative AI on a workstation, things like 3D video effects in game design, similar to what we saw in that example with the penguin. When we think about architecture and interior design, I need to design a building and I type my prompt into I want to see an odd shaped building with triangle windows, and it pops up this image. And if I love it, wow, maybe that's something we can design. We can change it. We can make different iterations of it. But really that kind of first level idea generation to be able to type in these prompts and see these types of images is really cool. Things like fashion and product design, right? I want to see, new suits in yellow for my spring runway show, and it just pops up these images. Things like photography and video editing. When you think about graphic design and marketing, like my job is to design a soda can for a new energy drink, and it's targeted towards teenagers in California, something very random. I can type that in and it will pop up an image. It might be perfect, it might be a little bit off, but you can use these types of things to kind of generate new ideas that maybe you wouldn't have thought of yourself. When we think of things like manufacturing, so I am a chair manufacturer for IKEA, and this year I have to come up with 50 new dining room chair designs. And instead of having to sketch out each one and design each one, I can now put that into my generative AI model, and it will be able to provide me with different designs. So there's lots of cool use cases. A lot of this is still kind of in early days, but it's really going to change the workflow of a lot of different creative professionals, and it's a really exciting time to be able to integrate this technology here. We briefly touched on data science. So data science is really key to modern business. Things like forecasting, fraud detection, recommendation, which is a big one. When you order something from Amazon Prime Day, because you bought this, you'll probably like this. And it's like, oh, I do like that. And then you hit order. Companies need to be able to monetize all of the data that they're collecting. So they're having to do lots of different data science workflows. Companies have data science officers and teams that are doing these types of things. You need high-end compute to be able to run through all of this data and really to get the inference that you need to make these types of decisions on how this data can be useful to your company. This doesn't only have to happen in the cloud. HP has really incredible data science solutions. There's a really cool Z by HP data science landing page. I encourage you to check out. It has a lot of great information of different use cases. NASA is a big adopter of the HP Data Science Workstation. So there's some really cool stuff in there to check out for you guys. So customer workflow. I know we've talked about this a lot, and with workstations, one of the key ways to make sure that we can help get the right fit for our customers and help sell up into stack of higher workstations and GPUs is to really understand their workflow. So we really want to make sure we're understanding the workflow by persona. So engineers, product designers, office workers, kind of what applications are they using to be able to understand that workflow, and then understanding the use and importance of collaboration tools. When we talked about that Firefly upsell from just UMA CPU-only system to a GPU-enabled system, yes, everybody's working from home. We're using Teams, we're using Zoom. Have you thought about adding a GPU to this system? Let me show you kind of some of the benchmarks that we've tested here. And then, of course, how many displays do you need to be most productive? As you add all of these things up, it takes more and more system compute. So adding a GPU to these systems can really help improve that end user customer performance. As I mentioned, we have a lot of great NVIDIA sales tools. We'll be sharing these out with you guys. The Workstation Sales Advisor is one of our best ones, depending on which applications your customer are using. You can search on this and it will give you a good, better, best recommendation on GPU for both mobile and for desktop. And we also have the HP and Z, or NVIDIA and HP Z line card, which will help map out which GPUs are available in which systems and give you kind of a speeds and beats compare, like a quick little 2-pager here. Really the call to action here, engage the customer in understanding those workflows. That's really important. We encourage you to access the latest NVIDIA training and resources in HP Curiosity. If you guys utilize that training platform, really great stuff in there. Utilize those sales tools that we went over to really help position the right GPU and HPZ system and really become that trusted advisor. Understand that these creative workflows really now demand RTX features for things like rendering, AI, and simulation. And of course, position and configure discrete GPUs versus integrated graphics in all of your Z Workstation systems. This will really help you improve that multi-application performance, happy end users, and of course, higher AUPs for you guys. And I think that brings us to the end here. I don't know if there were any questions.
There are plenty of questions, and I'm so glad you talked about generative AI and things of that nature. I've recently just rebuilt a computer from the ground up with an NVIDIA card in there, just so I could start playing around with generative AI models that are local to a system, because there are many that you can go out there and just type in on the internet and get some generative AI. But when you're using specific models directly on a system, it's a completely different ballgame.
And to be able to customize those types of AI or generative AI models is really a big use case for Workstation, which is cool.
Right.
If you guys aren't using ChatGPT, I really highly encourage you, because if you're dealing with complex topics that you don't understand, because I know you guys are learning about tons of stuff all the time. I know I am. I'm like, explain, computational lithography to a 10-year-old. And it like will give you a really, and that's one of my favorite prompts for really complicated stuff. And it's like, oh, okay, now I get it. But it's such a great tool if you're interviewing for a job or need any kinds of tips. Really using ChatGPT for everything. I'm a huge adopter, and I think that generative AI is going to be like amazing to help us be more productive.
And we'll soon probably start to see those ChatGPT models that only exist online start to become local to the hardware as well to get faster results and, like you said, better customize the types of results and things you're getting back.
Yeah,
so,
a lot of companies will be building their own kind of custom generative AI models for more confidential use cases and things like that.
And all of those are either going to need local resources or resources on a server that are being accessed. Both are cases for NVIDIA RTX cards.
Absolutely. There's use cases, workstations all the way to the cloud.
So there are a couple of questions. I'm going to start with one from Ronnie. It was on a topic that you talked about at the beginning of your presentation. What is the video card preferred for video walls? You spoke at the beginning saying that, like, in my knowledge, the Quattro card was kind of that business card for video walls and things of that nature, and you alluded to it that might not be the case anymore. Is that true? What's going on there?
No, sorry. So like if you're doing more the non-RTX cards, so like a T400 or a T1000, the typical use case for something like those would be something like a video wall. So in the workstation sales advisor that I mentioned, there's a great little kind of map. And if you're doing something like a video wall, it will provide a recommendation of the GPUs to utilize there. So the team will be sharing those out with you for you to access. I don't think I have a link that I could just drop in there. I could try to find one.
It is in the resources. Let me go ahead and highlight the resources.
Awesome.
So
and this is all in HP Curiosity as well, all of these tools.
So Rodney, he did ask, where's the link to the sales advisor? It is in the resources for this broadcast. So you can go ahead and find it in the resources. You're good to go there. The next question I saw was from Alex, is whether there's a possibility that the GeForce line would be certified for Autodesk.
That would be a question for Autodesk, but I don't believe so.
Yeah, usually the software manufacturers will authorize or certify hardware, not the other way around. So,
correct.
It's whoever they work with in that point. Usually desktops can be easily upgraded with more powerful GPUs, but not on the laptop. Is it possible to have one pre-configured?
That's a very good point, and I should have mentioned that. So on mobile workstations, GPUs cannot be upgraded after the fact, so it has to ship from the factory. Desktops can be changed out, upgraded aftermarket, but on notebooks, you buy it as it is, and that can't be changed.
Cool. Nancy, you hanging in there?
Yeah,
I got one for you. The question was, if a customer has an HP big deal, can they still take advantage of the promos you were talking about in your presentation? Or is that more of a D&H question?
No, for resellers, I think the spiffs, yes, they can be taken.
Okay. And I did get an answer from Anita on our HP team. They do help our resellers with the HP authorization. So if you're looking to sell ZBooks and you're not authorized, get a hold of our HP team. It's hpi@dnh.com, and they will help you through the process to get authorized and to start selling. There was one question from Larry about what products on the HP side, what ports do they have, USB 3, HDMI, etc. From a D&H point of view, if you go to dnh.com and click on the HP mini page, you can find all the ZBook laptops there with all the specs and all the things they have. Nancy, is there any other resources that they can use?
Anything that's out on Curiosity, if you've got access to that with CDAs, data sheets, and quick specs.
Cool. Justin wanted to know, what is the maximum number of external displays for an RTX or Quadra card? So which Quadra card has the most external displays?
It would depend on the card. The HP line card tool that I shared will have that information by GPU.
Do we have a list of cards that have special power supplies for custom builds? I guess this is a specific question along uh, the high-end 40 and A series that require a little bit more chunky of
So the
power
40,
nieces.
the 40 series is all GeForce.
Okay.
So
Right.
yeah, the desktop cards within HP will have all of the proper heating and cooling and power requirements built in. So you can see within the quick specs, the HP quick specs, which GPUs are authorized or certified rather.
Yeah, and is there a list of compatible graphics cards that if they have an HP system that they're looking to upgrade, is there a list of cards that are compatible with that system or?
Yes, so that is also on the HP Z line card and NVIDIA line card.
Cool.
Yep.
Bill wanted to know what are the lead times for the Firefly G10.
Yep, everything right now is less than 4 weeks for new orders. So if you can't find something on the shelf, it's less than 4 weeks. We've got availability.
I also want to mention that because I don't feel like this might not be commonly known, is that the NVIDIA desktop GPUs can be sold the aftermarket options from HP. So they have these aftermarket options skewed up that you can purchase directly from HP for the desktop.
Sure. Carlos wanted to know if there are any 17-inch laptop options in the ZBook line, or are they still shifting to 15 and 16-inch with my external monitors?
Yeah, 16 inches the highest.
Okay. 17 is an unruly size, in my opinion, but
Pretty heavy.
We used to have it, but yeah.
It's a chunky at that point. And the final question I had listed, and if you guys have any more questions, please shout them out right now, was can these products, and these are specific to the HP ZBook line, can they be used into R&D and AI for the pharma industry, for genome, things of that nature?
I mean, I don't know specifically what, kind of capabilities that might need, but I would suspect, with the combination of performance and how you can build it up, I would say. I'm not familiar exactly what genome would be.
Right.
I think it would depend on the software that they're using too, right?
Right.
Oh, is it more? Okay. Yeah.
I would assume, yeah.
I would assume it's wholly dependent on the software they're using, and the software is going to list out exactly what they recommend for the specs. And just looking at the ZBook line, I'm sure you're going to be able to find something that runs the software they're looking for. If they're not, you're looking at workstation or server, and you're not going to carry those around with you anyway. So
yeah.
There's nothing to worry about there. That is it for the questions, and we are actually coming up on the top of the hour, so I think we're going to call it right there. Nancy and Nina, thank you so much for your time today. This was a lot of great information. Is there anything you want to end with? We'll start with you, Nancy.
No, I just want to say thank you. And if you have any questions, please let the D&H team know. They can get a hold of us. We've got lots of resources, so we're here to help with whatever kind of questions or needs you have. Thank you.
Same here. Yeah, definitely appreciate your time. We're here to help.
Yep. We have a couple of emails that you can go to. These the HP specialist at dnh.com. They can answer any questions you might have. If you're looking to watch this broadcast again, or you relate to the broadcast and trying to miss us to rewatch a part that you may have missed, this broadcast will be available probably early next week on dnh.com/dnhtv. As well as information on upcoming future webcasts as well. But with that, I think we're going to call it a presentation. So I want to thank everyone for joining us today. I hope everyone has a fantastic day, and thank you so much for your time.